Good evening, friends. Thanks for joining me every evening at the same time for the latest news and conversations with different personalities. Today, we have the multifaceted personality, Shweta Shalini, who is, an entrepreneur, an Indian market expert, a philanthropist, a youth icon in technology, design and learning, and also the BJP spokesperson, who we normally see on Republic TV. Welcome, Shalini, to our channel. Our
Thank you,
viewers are looking
Minaji. When,
forward.
when when you say such nice words for me, I feel elated. Thank you so much. It's such an honor.
No, it's always nice listening to someone who's very outspoken because normally, politicians have the habit of shying away from, different questions and trying to, be diplomatic. But you're one person who we really enjoy seeing on, news channels because you speak your mind very boldly.
Thank you, Minaji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just hope that I can continue this forever in my life.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure because you're successful and you are a woman leader. I mean, everybody knows that. You will lead other women and inspire them.
Thank you, Minaji.
Yeah. Okay. Before we discuss, Shalini, what's happening in Maharashtra, I'd like to discuss the SSR case. As you know, from June 14th last year, everybody has been clamoring for justice for Sushant. It's almost a year, and we are still awaiting news from CBI as to what are their findings. Is it, not your duty in, as you sit in opposition, to question the authorities with the same speed that you used for Sachin Waze in the Mansukiran death case and the bombs being planted near Antalya? Viewers are now getting frustrated with CBI's silence, whereas the other three federal agencies are working. I don't know whether NIA has got into it as yet, but certainly the narcotics and the ED have been acting on most of the things. Our frustration is only with regards to CBI because we're not getting any word from them, Shalini ji. So most of our viewers are asking you about this because they've become impatient now.
Yes, Meenaji. So there are a couple of things. There are three parts to this question. One are things that I know of, but I cannot say. So let me not go there. There are two other parts which I would want to put in front of you and in front of all the viewers. Point number one is, if you actually, and you rightly said, there are three different agencies working on this, specifically talking about CBI. Now, please understand that a lot of evidences which actually was picked up by CBI were destroyed. Not a lot of the crime scene was changed. A lot of polishing was done on evidences. And now that we see this entire Vaze gate coming out, we realize that, the Mumbai police and some sections of the Mumbai police were only employed or deployed for creating and destroying evidences. Now, that's precisely what happened in that case. And somehow I feel that what CBI is doing is recreating a lot of things. Now that we have a few people within the police network who have turned approvers, who are so to say on the other side, probably we will also be looking at reprobing all the cases that both Parambir Singh as CP and Sachin Waze as CIO chief actually took forward. So, and I'm just hoping, as a fan, as a friend, as somebody who's been very vocal in the SSR case, that SSR case is also one of them. Second, the track record of CBI has been extremely poor, though it is a centralized agency. We are at the helm in the government. Yet, I would want to question my own government because I know that, as I put it, that Shasan and Prashasan, these are two different parts of the executive, and we need to understand that the legislative and the executive, these two pillars are extremely responsible for running the democracy right. Unfortunately, be it any agency, be it any central agency, even the Babudam, they have taken India for a ride. We have pulled up a lot of people, yet we will need to pull up a lot, and especially timelines is something that we really need to fix. So yes, I know that the CBI is working. I know that they have cracked quite a bit. I was talking to Ornab the other day, and he told me that yes, he's just waiting to bring back the subject in the forefront. So yes, we are also waiting, but I'm also very unhappy with the timelines that the CBI has taken. As you rightly said, the ED and the NCB have been moving very speedily, but I think there needs to be a probe at the root cause, because primarily if you look at what NCB has done, they have questioned a lot of people, and we all know that these things exist, but we always turned a blind eye. It is important for us to to give the right message by taking some actions there. So that is something that I expect from that agency also. They are moving towards it. But yes, I know for sure that it has not come out in public domain. So we are expecting some good news from there as well. ED, you rightly said, ED has actually been able to trace money trails, because ultimately money is the easiest to trace, and money went missing. So there are certain trails that has been traced, and yes, terror angle cannot be moved, cannot be ruled out there, and hence that is a longish trail, and that is also soon going to come out in public domain as well. As far as answering your question is concerned, as to why as an opposition we are not picking up this subject, is because in public life, we are always fighting a battle between urgent and important. The important takes a back seat as soon as something else becomes urgent, and that's the reason why I was in another video a couple of days ago, and I was telling the entire gang, and I support this group that is talking, that is the voice of SSR, and I'm so happy that he had such fans who are keeping his voice alive by becoming his voice and asking for justice. So I think as people, as a union, we need to keep going on, because that is what is going to keep the issue urgent and will ensure that people at the top become accountable and responsible.
Also, Shalini ji, see, there was the Janvi Kukreja case. Okay, it was given directly handled by Paramveer Singh and Trimukhe. And there was a lot of PR during that time, saying that, see, the parents were very happy that it was going to be handled properly and done judiciously. But sitting outside as viewers, we knew very well that, see, these were the people who covered up all the proof in the case of SSR. And even in the case of Janvi Kukreja, they had absolutely no, they only said that they spoke to the witnesses, but the witnesses were all very scared. They were all youngsters, teenagers. So the only, proof they would have got was through the CCTV footage. Now, the CCTV footage would have only been seen by the police, because even the parents have not seen it. Now, the police say that the man who killed her friend, who killed her walked off with wounds, and his shirt was full of blood and all that. See, what I'm surprised, Shalini ji, says that, the Mumbai police has already come to a conclusion that this girl's friends have murdered her. And the more important angle, the more dangerous angle, that drugs were being given by a drug peddler at the party where only teenagers were there. And also the fact that, see, the two friends don't remember anything that happened, which is what happens when you're all under drugs. So here again, as in the Sachin Waze case, they are trying to cover up a lot of things. And this case is purely being handled by Mumbai police and not CBI or anything. So here again, I see another case which needs, probing into, from independent agencies.
So, Meena ji, it is very, very unfortunate, because this is a police which was once upon a time called the Scotland Yard, right? We are extremely proud of this police system, and it's so sad, because there are still honest officers within these this force, who stand up for the khaki, this man who stands at the traffic signal with his uniform on, he's so proud of his uniform. There are people who go back home, ride a Maruti 800, who can't afford a house, live in police lines, but can humbly afford their children's education, are also so proud of the khaki. And these are the people that truly and really represent Mumbai police. But you are right. Yes, Janvi Kukreja is also a case like that. Fortunately enough, there is CCTV footage still available, because if you actually look at it, if you see the Sachin Waze case, the entire CCTV footage, that is what is actually being found now in the Methi River. And you look at the Sushant Singh Rajput case, the entire CCTV footage is completely missing. If you look at the Vaze case right now, there have been plates, number plates, which are found there. And if you see the people who were asking questions at that point of time as to how ambulances changed numbers and how many ambulances were there and how, so you do not know, this line. There is a very thin line between the right and the wrong, and unfortunately this line has completely disappeared. So for us, I personally feel that we are within the system. It is painful because people have stopped trusting this system that we are part of, and unfortunately this is the pillar of the democracy on which the country stands today. So there is a need, absolute need, and I said that, to reprobe almost everything that the CIO has been looking at for the past 2 years, since the time Vaze has been reinstated, and much before. In fact, we should also look at re-looking at all the cases that even the current CP or the last CP, Paramveer Singh, was investigating. Because in almost all these things, and especially talking about women, Meena ji, I don't want to generalize this, but it is such a sorry state of affair as far as Maharashtra is concerned, because women crime is on the highest. Do you know, I was telling this to somebody the other day, that because of a lack of SOP in COVID units, there have been instances where ward boys have taken swab of the vagina to say that this is how swabs are taken by women who come from rural backgrounds, and have actually molested them or raped them. Now these things are part of the structured system, and unfortunately it is unfortunate that it's happening in one of the most advanced states, that is Maharashtra, in India today.
Also, while we are on this, Shalini ji, see, you remember Chavan, the girl who was killed, or they say who died, fell from the top floor, and the
Pooja.
minister had to, Pooja, and the minister who had to resign because of this. See, there were audio tapes which revealed everything that possibly the minister has done to the girl, and also the fact that, see, perhaps she was pregnant. I'm saying perhaps. This is all stories that are coming out of the tape. What is happening in Mumbai? I mean, women can just disappear. There was another case where Kirit Somayaji said that around a police station in a certain area, around 18 women were missing. And the police don't know where they have gone. So, I mean, it's a deliberate effort to either traffic women, from Maharashtra to some other countries. What is happening? And why are Mumbai people keeping quiet? Why are the corporate heads keeping quiet? Why can't they protest about all that's happening? It's not the only duty of the politicians. It's also the duty of the citizens, isn't it?
See, unfortunately, Meena ji, when you have a person on top, it all gets governed by the top. When the leader at the top is not strong enough, if he cannot take the right decisions, when you have a government which has 3 tires, one of a tractor, one of a cycle, and one of an auto rickshaw, when they do not work in tandem, when they have internal issues, when the Raja is a Dhritarashtra who has this patti over his eyes, exactly these are the things that happen. Now look at the Pooja Chavan case. For days together, the chief minister kept saying that there'll be no resignation, and then a resignation was inevitable. How did that resignation become inevitable? Right before the assembly, because they knew that in the assembly questions would be asked, because everything was in black and white. And you're saying that whether she was pregnant or not, it is on record that she had an abortion in the clinic,
Yes.
which is known. It is written that this girl, who's a TikTok star, was there. She met so many friends. She was admitted. She got an abortion done, and she was merely 22.
Yeah.
The fact that she was merely 22. Unfortunately, she comes from a very poor rural background. She also has another three sisters behind of her. So the parents were either given a lot of money, or they were scared to death to even go ahead and talk about it. Now, if this is the sorry state of affairs, where people are either too scared to go out, and what exactly happened to Hiren Mansukh?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, Meena ji. I don't want to say this. I met his wife, and she comes from a Jain family. She's never stepped out of her house. She carries this pallu, and all she was doing was crying. And the one thing that she's told me was that if I'm such a Jain that I've done so many fasts for my husband. My husband, how can such wrong happen to my husband? I have her youngest son is just about 12. They have the entire family in front of them. They have their entire life in front of them, and just one member in the family who was earning, that was Mansukh Hiren, and he's no more, just because he knew this cop who was named Sachin Waze, because he owned fancy cars and used to come to his shop for accessorizing
Yeah. The cars.
the cars. Now, this is extremely sorry. It is very unfortunate that a lot of people are not raising their voice against them, because one, they are scared. You look at what happened to an ex-Navy personnel and retired Navy personnel. He was hit. There are RSS people who spoke in Satara, and their face were blackened.
Yeah.
What happened to Mr. Tiwari when he spoke about the chief minister? Here, his head was shaved off. What happened to loads and loads of young social media? What happened to Samit Thakkar?
Yeah.
What exactly happened to him? He was in jail just for doing a tweet against the current dispensation. So common people who lead simple lives get scared, and this is exactly what is happening.
Shweta ji, see, as a woman, I mean, as women, we both would feel so much for the women, the widows, the mothers, the fathers. The Mahavikas Aghadi or Shiv Sena has Priyanka Chaturvedi as their spokesperson. She's a woman. Does she not see all this? How can she be a part of that party?
Meena ji, I'll tell you what, I have realized that in politics, see, I'm not so much of a politician. I'm an entrepreneur in my heart. I don't come from a political background. I have realized in politics, you developed selective amnesia. And especially when you have traversed different paths, you have seen it all. You have seen different ideologies. Ideologies don't make any sense to you. Ethics don't make any sense. And political ethics, there is no such word as political ethics. It is an irony in itself. And that's the reason why I firmly believe that the leader on the top needs to have the right kind of intention. At least minimum is you need to have the right intention, the intention to serve, intention where you get hurt. I mean, there was a lockdown, there is COVID. 50% of COVID cases is in Maharashtra. Sachin Waze was reinstated to look after the COVID situation. How many COVID cases did he see? Where was he deployed? Where COVID was used? And each and every member of the political party that governs Maharashtra, especially the chief minister, strictly sat at home. They strictly sat at home, did not step out. The entire state was governed by Facebook lives. Can you imagine that, Meenaji? So if the intention of the leader is not right, if you forget about administrative experiences, forget about everything else, if your intention is not right, you do not deserve to sit on that chair. Now they talk about morality. What morality are they talking about? Today, in a letter that Vaze himself has written and wanted to submit in the court today, he says that for reinstating me, even the Home Minister asked me for money, 2 crore rupees. With what face are they going to face these people once again? They have to go back to them. And you come to power, okay, power corrupts, but you need to understand that after 5 years you need to go back to these people. You can't show your face to them with this kind of work that you've done. More than 50,000 people died. The highest death rates of COVID has been in Maharashtra. Do you know how much in these jumbo COVID center, how much does a thermometer cost? You and me both have kids. We understand what thermometers we buy. Each thermometer that has been bought in COVID centers is worth 6,700 rupees. What, they were using gold in thermometers? It's sheer corruption that is happening for the past 1.5 years. ये धोखे से आई हुई सरकार continuously इस महाराष्ट्र की जनता को धोखा दिए जा रही है, and it is the worst that can happen. एक धृतराष्ट्र पता नहीं किसकी मोह में, बेटे की मोह में या कुर्सी की मोह में वहां बैठे हैं. एक संजय जो आगे नहीं देख सकता, पीछे नहीं देख सकता, उनको इतनी गलत एडवाइस दे रहा है. एंड इर्द गिर्द, उनके इर्द गिर्द, the people around them, each and every, you look at Anil Parab ji, even today Vaze has in his letter spoken about Anil Parab, and he's been part of this entire nexus of the Vasuli gang. They have been extorting money. It's unfortunate that they have structured hafta vasuli in the form of khaki. And it pains me a lot because, in the reigns of Devendra Fadnavis, I've seen this government, and I realize what he's done and the dreams he saw for Maharashtra and what Maharashtra is capable of. It's so unfortunate that we are seeing these times in Mumbai and in Maharashtra.
Yeah. Shweta ji, see, you say that he was reinstated because of COVID. I mean, that's what they say. But he was reinstated on 6th June. Okay, 7th June, Disha died at night. And then after that, 13th night, Sushant died. Okay, so obviously he was brought in to cover up for very powerful people who were involved in the crime. So that is clear for everybody. That they care about COVID or COVID cases surging, that's not their concern. It's very obvious about that. Another thing, Shweta ji, I wanted to ask you is that, see, recently on Twitter, a lady said that her brother had come from abroad, and he was possibly, about to be quarantined. And when he said that he didn't want to, he had to pay 10,000 rupees to get, out. I mean, is this also another sort of scam that they are making?
No, so trust me on this. There is scam in almost everything.
Everything.
Do you know that when you land in Mumbai, there was a long period of time for about 3 to 4 months. You had to actually get an RT-PCR test done. Now that RT-PCR test that you were doing, you were actually paying for it. And that report, so you pay for the RT-PCR test, come out and go home. Now that for that RT-PCR, whether you are positive or negative, it will cost you some X amount of money, which is atrocious. You will pay 2,500 rupees. Now these people had exclusive tie-up with the government. No, you couldn't say that I've got an RT-PCR done from outside. You had to get an RT-PCR test done there. And once you did that, they didn't even bother to send you the reports. Because you've paid the money, they have paid the money in the back, and that's about it. So every single thing So they opened the bars and the restaurants. Now you know what happened to the bars and the restaurants. Who was talking about nightlife? Every singular, you just told us the timeline. When was he reinstated? When did Disha die? I've tweeted about this because I know for sure that throughout the lockdown, there were parties which were happening, and these parties were attended by almost every Mahavikas Aghadi's so-called high-profile children, family members, and most of the babus of Mumbai. So why? And see, I completely understand that everyone was hands in glove. But then the fact is, today they pinpoint and say, okay, Parambir Singh reinstated him. So, you appointed him as the CP. And what is the point when you realize that he's good for nothing? Only after he wrote that letter saying that you were running a extortion racket. Before that, he was all hail and holy. Because in the entire SSR case, you supported. Now you go and say that, oh, I don't want CBI and all of that. At that point of time, you supported him wholeheartedly, saying that no, CBI should not. My police commissioner is the best, and he is going to take care of the entire SSR case. I mean, this is such an irony. People are laughing on their faces, yet they have the guts to come out in the open and just blatantly lie. And that's
in fact,
very, very
in fact, that's my next point, Shweta ji. See, the latest explosive news is that a police report reveals to media that API Sachin Waze has been effectively made in charge of the CIU upon his reinstatement against the verbal opposition of the joint CP crime, and that it was Parambir Singh who brought him directly into that. And the report also states that the Joint Commissioner of Police had strongly opposed bringing back Sachin Waze to the Mumbai Police Force, but had unwillingly issued the order to do so on the insistence of ex-Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh. It also said that Sachin Waze did not report to any officer of the crime branch, and that no personnel from the crime branch had reviewed, opined, or issued, that he would directions to Sachin Waze and the cases handled by him. So,
absolutely.
See, it's the funny thing is, Shweta ji, see, like a dinosaur, the head doesn't know what the tail is doing. It's
exactly. Exactly the point. So my question is, apart from all this, my one singular question is, if your head doesn't know what the tail is doing, that means either the head is an accomplice or he's complete incompetent. So let's agree to either of the two. He's either completely incompetent, he's not fit to be sitting on the chair, or he's an accomplice. Now that there is also a explosive letter by Vaze saying that Anil Parab ji was part of this entire thing, that's when we know that he most probably is an accomplice. But then coming back to your points, yes, you're right, and I have been saying this, that you can't rule out Parambir. How much ever you try, what he has written in that letter is explosive. But that doesn't mean, why did he not talk about it when he was sitting in the chair? Right? Why was he so hale and holy when when he was sitting on the chair? And unfortunately, the question also arises, why did you not, if you feel that he is useless and good for nothing, then why did you first appoint him as the CP? We did not appoint him as CP. He was due for promotion, but we did not appoint him as the Commissioner of Police for Mumbai because we knew it is such a important position. And second, please note, and I want to tell you this, 6 officers committee is always there to reinstate any officer back. Now, one signature cannot reinstate a person. It has to be minimum 2 signatures. So who is the second person, and why is today's CP Nagrale not come out with the second name in the committee who signed for reinstating Sachin Waze? Second question is, yes, you are right. There was a verbal order, and it is also right that joint CP crime was against it. So was Devendra Fadnavis, because you cannot reinstate somebody on whom an inquiry is going on. And this is judicial inquiry which is going on. This is disciplinary inquiry which is going on. He was known as an encounter specialist, and this encounter specialist, we know that how many encounter specialists today are working for the Shiv Sena. One of them, called Pradeep Sharma, is today being questioned by NIA for about 5 hours. He was questioned. He has also fought elections on behalf of Shiv Sena. And if people would have supported him, he could have been well an MLA today. But thankfully, the people of Mumbai are wise enough to not elect him. Yet, if you actually see, he has no official post as in the force today. Yet, he was sitting while in the assembly. Devendra Fadnavis was talking about Sachin Waze and questioning the current government. There was a meeting which was happening in the CP's office for the 3 hours that the assembly lasted. That meeting was attended by 2 people. Both were encounter cops and were sitting with the CP of Mumbai. One, Pradeep Sharma, and second, Sachin Waze. So the question is, who sent Pradeep Sharma there? Whose messenger was Pradeep Sharma at that point of time? He's a Shiv Sainik, and Sachin Waze was also once upon a time a Shiv Sainik. So you need to understand that he was a Shiv Sainik in khaki. Sachin Waze was practically a Shiv Sainik in khaki, and you can't rule it out. So the chief minister can't wash his hands off. He has blood on his hands, and this is Mansukh Hiren's blood. And now we want to know whether he has SSR's blood also in his hands or no.
Salman Khan's bodyguard is also a Shiv Sainik?
So I wouldn't know
also,
that. But across Mumbai, there are a lot of Shiv Sainiks, and unfortunately, most of them are either bodyguards or goons or people who are called bouncers. Or now we know that these bouncers and bodyguards are also come into khaki.
Also, Shweta ji, very amusing incident is that there's a lady who's filing a case against Sanjay Raut. Now, what has Sanjay Raut done to her? Because she's abusing him left and right for using bad language, and she was supposed to have been working for the paper, and when she wanted to leave, that's when the abuse started. Could you just brief our viewers about this?
So Swapna Patkar has written a long letter, and she's a doctor. She's made some beautiful films. She's very creative. She writes very well. I've seen a couple of the films. I went for the opening of one of her films. She's made a beautiful film. She's very sane, very forward-looking, very strong girl, and this is not something that she's been talking about now. I have to tell you that this is something which she has been talking about for a long time. Now she has gathered the guts to write about it, to come out into the open against one of her own, so to say own, because she used to consider Sanjay Raut ji as her father figure. Now, see, I don't want to get into the merits of the case because she's just about come forward. And I know that, the merits of the case is something that needs to be probed and investigated. But I have to tell you that for any woman to come out in the open and talk about the abuses that has or what she's gone through is very difficult. And law says that at any given point of time that women want to come out and report the matter, it needs to be reported. So what I would suggest and what I have been saying is that matter, there needs to be a cognizance of that matter, and it needs to be booked. There needs to be a FIR against the said abuser so that further investigation can happen.
You know what surprises me, Shweta ji, is that see, there are so many women in the MVA. You're talking about Sonia Gandhi, you're talking about Uddhav Thackeray's wife, you're talking about Sharad Pawar's daughter. And yet, the amount of torture that women are suffering is in this period that they have come into power is the worst. And I'm surprised that such women are closing their eyes and watching what the men are doing, as if this is not happening. They are in another planet,
Meenaji, doesn't it surprise you that that a Shiv Sainik in khaki goes ahead and plants gelatin
Yeah.
sticks um, uh, under the one of the most important businessmen of India, and the chief minister's wife, when she falls ill, decides to go to the same businessman's hospital
Hospital.
when she needs it. I mean, it's so ironical. We, when there is a farmers' protest, we basically call out names, and by names we abuse them.
Yeah.
But these are the people who come to our own rescue. Why did you not go to Cooper Hospital? Because it's one of your own, right? You decided to take SSR's body to Cooper Hospital at that point of time. Why did you not go to Cooper Hospital? You should have gone to Cooper Hospital if you had COVID. But you don't choose to do that. You choose to go to the best of the hospital. It may belong to somebody who you have chosen to abuse. You have chosen to put gelatin sticks under his house and threaten. Yet you go back to him. So that's what I've been trying to tell you, Meenaji, that everything in this government is farce. It is bizarre, and hence nothing surprises me now. I just feel that the women in MVA are just not empowered to talk about it, or they are so much greedy for power that they have just closed their eyes to the problems of other women, like they have closed their eyes on the problems of the people of Maharashtra. And unfortunately, Maharashtra has gotten such bad name just because of the government that they have. It's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate.
Also, not to forget the fact that, see, whenever there was a wedding in Mukesh Ambani's house, the first people to land there was the whole Thackeray family. And they would busy, pose with Madhuri Dixit and all the, stars there. So that was also a part of what they did, Shalini ji, another question that I wanted to ask you.
But Meenaji, just to add on this,
please.
It's no surprise, especially for Mumbai, and that's why that the best friends of the Thackeray's and the younger Thackeray, especially, have been Bollywood. He's been attending a lot of parties with Bollywood. His best friends have been getting contracts. If you look at the latest contracts that have been handed over, it has been to friends and families from Bollywood. So it's no big surprise, especially for people in Mumbai.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Paramveer Singh, Shweta ji. In a breaking and unexpected development on Wednesday morning, ex-Mumbai Police Commissioner Paramveer Singh has reached the NIA office in Mumbai, even as suspended Vaze is set to be produced at an NIA court later in the day. Top sources have informed that he is likely to record a statement with the agency which is probing the murder of Mansukh Hiren and the Antalya bomb scare case. He is likely to be interrogated on the reinstatement of Sachin Waze in the Mumbai police force after nearly 16 years following his suspension due to an alleged fake encounter case. The fact that Sachin Waze worked under and reported to Paramveer, as mentioned in the report, and how a growing number of luxury cars linked to Sachin Waze were seen parked at the Mumbai CP's premises, and whether or not he was aware of this. Shalini, I want to ask you something. See, these are all police who get a certain salary, and they can't afford these luxury cars. But the number of luxury cars that have been unveiled by the NIA, and also the fact that, see, yesterday an Italian motorbike, and he's been going on motorbike holidays, and he's been having mystery women with him, and a lot of cash counters. So what is this happening, Shalini ji? They are all used to such high lifestyles. What is happening? He stays in a hotel where it costs more than 10,000 per day, and he stays there for 100 days. What is happening, Shalini?
So, Meenaji, just to correct you and your question, an honest cop cannot afford all of this. A dishonest cop can definitely. He stayed in Trident Hotel, Oberoi Hotel, which costs about 10,000 per day. His stay cost was almost about 13 lakh rupees, which was paid by a travel agency. And that travel agency is connected to a political party. We know that. right? If you actually look at the cars that he was, and in today's appearance in the court, the AG has said that about 1.5 crore rupees have been found in his Axis bank account. Irrespective of this, 26 lakh rupees has been withdrawn post his arrest, which means there are multiple accounts
My
which
God.
we probably would not have known.
Uh,
Also, please understand that a Land Cruiser costs about 1.8 crore rupees plus three Mercedes is 1 crore each. But then for a person who could give 2 crore rupees to the Home Minister, as stated by him in the letter, to be posted in CIU. Now the question is, why would somebody pay to be posted in CIU? Because he knows that by sitting there, he will be able to recover a lot of the money. Also, please do not forget that he has 3 registered company, each of which has a seed capital of 5 lakh rupees. Each of these companies are have been registered by fellow friends who are leaders of Shiv Sena. They are registered in ROC. So most of them are leaders, current leaders, corporators of Shiv Sena. Another point is, as a person in uniform, you are not supposed to hold directorship in other companies, in private companies especially. He not only held directorships, but he was minting money there, because what was he making? He was actually, in one of his companies, he was making radio sets and wireless devices which police people use. And then he wanted to be posted into CIU. Now, as far as Parambir Singh is concerned, see, for a very long time, Pakistan kept saying that we don't know where Osama bin Laden is. We don't know where Osama bin Laden is. But Osama bin Laden was in Abbottabad, right under their nose. So right under his nose, if there are cars which are luxury cars parked, and he doesn't raise an eyebrow, which means he's just used to it. Probably he owns some, and quite a few other people also own some, and nobody asks the other that how do you afford it in a salary of 50,000 rupees? Right? And last but not the least, if under the nose of the honorable chief minister all of this is existing, and he is choosing to be very happy and close his eyes, then there is something wrong with the chief minister also. Because if not for the commissioner of police, at least the chief minister needs to be asking. He, for 16 years when he was out of the force, he was the spokesperson for Shiv Sena. So what was he doing? And why was he so important for him to be reinstated back, so that he could do whatever he was doing outside, inside being a khaki even more forcefully? So it gets us to understand that the money counting machine which was found behind his car, and the 5 lakh rupees cash that was found, was his regular job as a CIU head. Forget about crime and forget about investigation. His job was Vasuli, and that's what he was doing. Now, for whom was this? He was doing this Vasuli is something that he needs to come out with in the open.
And who is this mystery woman?
So it's surprising, Meena ji, that there is only one mystery woman which has come out. I know for sure that there are many more which are going to be coming out, and you need to understand this, that there are many people within the force and the departments which are also reporting to mystery women. So there are women at every stage in this entire system and structure. We need to get to the root of this, and to almost every singular person in this chain. So
just to ask you
break the chain, really.
Just to ask you a very candid question. See, with regards to Riya, see, normally when they found out that Riya Chakraborty was involved in the drugs scene, every time she was questioned by the NCB, she would land up at the police headquarters, wherever she was, and she would be talking to them, everything. So what was the relationship between Mumbai police and Riya?
So, Meena ji, you know what? When you are investigated by a centralized agency, one of the things that a centralized agency does is basically track you. Now, the easiest way to track you is in today's time is through your phones. So there are hardly any safe lines, so to say. So if you want to talk to somebody important, you need to have a landline. So most of your landlines, most of your locations are being tracked by central agencies. So the only safe place that you can go to are places like these. So my question has been, forget about who she was talking to, because that we all can guess. But the fact was, what is it that she was talking for 40 long minutes? Because
Yeah.
every time she would go inside a police station, nobody else would be allowed. And then she would stay there for 40, 45 odd minutes.
Yeah.
Now, what was it that a prime accused of a case was doing inside of a police station for 45 long minutes is something that, of course, we will question. We are opposition, we are people of this country, and we are intelligent people. We will question that. So it's as good as your guess. My guess is going to be as good as your guess.
Okay. Another question is that, see, now people are worried about whether BJP will join hands with the kingpin of MVA, which is Sharad Pawar. Okay. And that is spilling fear into the hearts of every Indian. Can you please reassure us that this is not going to happen and that if BJP comes, they'll come as a single power?
See, it is it is it is known to the world that there was a time when, and it's if you come to Maharashtra, you will know that there is so much of hatred for Devendra Fadnavis ji in the eyes of Sharad Pawar ji, because um, um, probably, and I personally say this all the time, that Devendra Fadnavis ji is somebody who was young, dynamic, and did all the things right, which was something which was not acceptable to the old man. And that's one of the reasons, was so rhetorically he was against him, and that's why he called him names, he called out his caste, he called out his almost everything, except he could not say anything about his performance, because his performance was the best, right? Now, that's why I can assure you, I may or may not be able to assure or reassure the people of this country of whether BJP will, do a handshake with anybody. But I can assure you that Sharad Pawar ji will never do a handshake with Devendra Fadnavis. And without Devendra Fadnavis, BJP Maharashtra does not count, because that's how Amit Bhai and Narendra Modi want it. So you can be rest assured that there is absolutely no alliance that is happening.
So, what was it that Amit Shah ji said that made him go to hospital?
So
what do you think?
If Ornob would have asked me this question, and then I would have said, "Excuse me, hello." But now that you are asking me this question, I can only say this, that Amit Bhai only says a couple of lines. He's already said a couple of lines, and I don't think that anything more anybody can know beyond what he said. So I don't know, definitely don't know.
Yeah. And another thing, Shalini ji, see, I think it's like a Shukra Dasha for Arnab. Because everybody who tormented him and taunted him and humiliated him in front of his in-laws at his home, in front of his son and his wife, are now facing the consequences. So I don't think there's a luckier man than Arnab Goswami at this time.
No, it's not about being lucky. It's just about being right. I think you need to understand, and I say this, it takes a lot of pain to be on the right side. We are on the right side, and I can tell you that it is very, very difficult. But trust me on this, to raise your voice, to have an opinion, and to have the guts to stick to your opinion loud and clear, is something that it takes a lot, and the trade-offs are quite as much. So yes, I think Arnab has been challenged. Arnab has spent a lot of money. He has spent a lot of nights. His entire organization was tattered, scattered. But he stood strong, and I think he's just getting the benefits of standing strong. So that's what I keep telling people, younger people. I keep telling voices like yours, just stand strong. I think life is a sinusoidal wave. It'll go down, but it'll definitely come up, and you just have to ride the wave.
Also, Shalini ji, see, what I've noticed about the way Narendra Modi ji works is that he's rather slow in certain things, but he's very sure about what he is moving into. So in the Sushant case, I somehow feel that he's going slowly and steadily, and this Vaze gate has also, it's moving in the same direction. And this is all going to reveal a lot of things which will expose the SSR case and will work, in the favor of the ruling party, because they are after truth. As we all know, Modi ji has no vested interest. He works only for the people and for the country. That we've seen, and we've seen the results as well. So, do you think that this is his modus operandi?
So, see, I told you very clearly, Meena ji, that the leader on the top has to have the right intention.
Yeah.
The intention of Narendra Bhai Modi, your implementation could be anything. It could be slow, fast, medium paced. Your modus operandi could be anything. It could be सीधी उंगली से घी निकालना, टेढ़ी उंगली से घी निकालना. But then your intention is very clear. Anybody who's against the country, anybody who's against the well-being of the people of the country, Modi ji is not going to leave them. This is very, very clear. And to us as insiders, to us as Karyakartas, it has been made amply clear that Rashtra Hit Sarvopari. So what is best for your society, what's best for the people, that will come forever and always before you yourself. So if you actually look at the two cases, and the people who govern Maharashtra today, the Sarkar, the Vinash Agadi, as we call it, it's okay to be political. We can scream and shout, but these fundamental things where you are, the entire generation of people of Maharashtra who had the pride of Mumbai police being the best, you've just washed it off with just one instance, and it's very sad. So this is something which is extremely unacceptable. Now think of how somebody who's painful. I got a call, Meena ji, a couple of days ago, where this girl is is facing an abuse, cyber abuse, by another boy who used to be a friend. He's circulating her nude pictures and so on and so forth. The sister was so much in distress. She called me and said, Shweta ji, what do you think I should be doing? I said, just go to the police, go to the cyber police. She said, no, I don't trust the police anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
What if they just take these pictures and then start recirculating it?
Yeah, use them.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was devastated, because a common simple man who's not part of this political system wants to have faith in their chief minister that all will be taken care of, that if they are creating a jumbo COVID center, it is for me, that they are not going to overcharge me if I'm ill, if I'm facing COVID, they are going to help me and not devastate me further. They want to have an assurance that there are people who are working for me, for my benefit. And unfortunately, this is something which is not happening in Maharashtra. And I am very, very sure that fundamentally, Shri Narendra Modi is completely against this. And hence, whatever you see happening is somewhere happening according to the fact that Rashtra Hit, Rajya Hit, Logon ka Hit has to be extremely important.
Also, Shalini ji, see, till now we were talking about drugs and we were talking about child trafficking and all. There's another area. I don't know whether you're aware of it. Since you spoke about this case about this girl, okay, there is another area which Maharashtra has to, not only Maharashtra, other urban cities as well, should actually take care. This is dating sites. Here, young, what do you say, innocent women, girls are trapped. And once they are trapped, they are given drugs and they are given medicines, which are not allowed. And they are made sex slaves. So what you're talking about this girl is happening to many other girls. And none of this is reported because the girls themselves are scared, the families are scared, and a whole generation is being destroyed by this.
So, Meenaji, what do you think about all these OTT platforms?
Yeah.
They are selling soft porn.
Yeah.
And do you know, every time I see a series on these OTT platforms, I tend to see a new face. So where are these new faces? Why are so many, all of a sudden, how come so many new faces came by?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because most of them are being exploited. All of them are being made to forcibly do something called as soft porn, which is what is selling on OTT platforms.
Yeah,
so yes, I know what you are coming to. All these sites, which are dating sites, are being used by, or so to say, for prostitution. Pornography is something which is completely in. So yes, I personally feel, and I want to say this. See, I come from a technology background. I know that unfortunately what happens is policy makers or lawmakers understand technology when it has way advanced, and there have been gaps which have been exploited by commercializing the gaps. But yes, lawmakers are now coming forward. Some regulations around the OTT have been made, yet they are not strong enough, but they'll be further strengthened. There needs to be certain policies and laws around the dating sites as well, and further technology items which captures especially data around women, because there are also other sites which are capturing information, especially location based information, address based information of women, and circulating it around for further malpractices. So yes, there needs to be policies around it. I know that these are gaps, and we are addressing it internally.
Yeah, because see, if you look at the cases of Disha, or you look at the case of Jhanvi, or even the case of Chavan, see, all these people are middle class families and they don't want scandals. And the moment they know that, see, these men know that they are scared of scandals, what they do is either bribe them or threaten them, and the case is closed. So, as women, you, me, and many others need to help these, these innocent women, these innocent girls who have no idea, because the faces that come in front are handsome men who are actors or who are models, and they woo them. Once they are wooed and they are in this trap, they are thrown to the wolves, and then what happens is the girl has no future. So, I mean, it's so, I always feel that, see, if we could give a list of these cases that's been happening, the deaths, the rapes, the gang rapes, to the Prime Minister should know. I mean, Mumbai should be taken as a model for the deaths of women, the gang rapes of women. I mean, it is a model for the degradation of women.
Absolutely, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, as a leader, I'm sure, Shweta ji, you and many others should seriously look at this and help these young, women.
I have raised these right from child pornography to technology exploitation for or against women. I have raised these issues internally, especially in policy unions as think tanks, and there is a team which is working around it, especially in Niti Aayog.
Yeah, but the problem is, Shweta ji, see, politicians are standing with these people also. So that has to be tackled at the highest level. No tolerance for these producers who are making women sign nudity clauses or sex clauses. This has to be tackled. And whether the politician is thrown out of a job, it should be done. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because we do not want producers, women producers, or who are abusing their own sex. It's absolutely humiliating to watch anything on OTT platform. You know.
I more than agree. I more than agree, Meenaji.
Yeah. Also, Shalini ji, just on a closing note, perhaps you could advise our SSR. Most of the viewers are all SSR, supporters. If you could just give them some advice before we close the show.
I've said this earlier, Meenaji. I want to say it again. I think SSR lives among us, within us, right? We are the voice, and we are all with him. So I remember saying on one of the occasions that I am SSR, and that's why he will live on till the time my voice doesn't die. So keep raising your voices, because it is important that we raise our voice for him to get justice.
There's a lovely
you,
sentence there from Dhruv, who says, two beautiful and talented ladies in one frame. Shweta ji, you're a beautiful lady.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're a
Dhruv
beautiful
ji, and Meena ji, that compliment is for you too.
See, one thing I realize every time I speak to you, Shweta ji, is that, see, it's so easy to talk to you. I don't have to rehearse my questions. I don't have to look at any scripts, because, see, when you're frank, you speak so well. And, there's nothing that you hold back. Of course, in certain political, areas, you might not be able to speak so. But in most of the questions that I ask, it's so easy. It's a very freewheeling interview that I always do with you. So my thanks to you from the viewers,
Thank you,
and we
Thank
really
you,
love
I
the
just
way
love
you,
this platform.
and we love the way you conduct yourself. More strength to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And good
Thank
night.
you so much. God bless.